I once found myself drowning in a relentless rush of deadlines and ambitions, losing sight of the very world that inspired so many of my ventures. In the early days of SpaceX, I was fixated on building rockets, crunching numbers, and securing funding, all while barely noticing the sunrises that came as I worked through the night. My so-called free time vanished into a haze of phone calls and emails. Eventually, the strain became overwhelming. I remember a particular month where every launch simulation felt like it would never converge. Every investor meeting seemed to highlight a new shortfall. Every conversation with loved ones turned into a rushed exchange of logistical details. The tension built like a pressurized chamber, ready to burst at the slightest leak. One day, I stepped out of a meeting, realized I was exhausted beyond measure, and finally admitted this isn't sustainable. It wasn't only about failing to meet a timeline or missing a technical milestone. I was failing a deeper sense. My mind was losing creativity, my body felt perpetually drained, and I wasn't enjoying the process. All that talk about changing humanity's fate, about exploring beyond Earth, didn't align with the way I was living. I was very real sense burning out. In those moments, I recognized that sometimes the biggest failure isn't a public flop or a dramatic crash, but a quieter betrayal of oneself. My health was on the line. My creativity was diminishing, and for the first time, I saw clearly that I might not be able to push forward if I didn't rediscover the spark that set me on this path in the first place. That was the moment I decided to pause, at least for a weekend, and step outside into the real world, the world of trees, skies, and untamed air, beyond my spreadsheets and meetings. It was a short hike, nothing grand, but it felt like a door to another universe. The sound of leaves crunching underfoot, the smell of fresh pine, and the sight of an open sky free from fluorescent lights offered a sense of relief I hadn't experienced in years. That simple act of reconnecting with nature was the breakthrough. I realized that sometimes the very best ideas or solutions come when we unplug and trust the expansive genius of the natural world around us. It wasn't just a moment of rest, it was a moment of clarity. I know many of you out there understand the weight of deadlines, family responsibilities, and personal goals. Perhaps you too have felt that relentless pressure that convinces you there's no time to pause, no room to step away from the daily grind. I want you to realize that taking that step back is not a waste. It can be the critical factor that allows you to move forward with renewed energy, deeper insight, and genuine enthusiasm. If you've never been the outdoorsy type, the simple shift of stepping outside your usual environment can become a transformative reset. You're not alone in feeling the tension. Open there in different forms. You might be juggling multiple roles, whether as an entrepreneur, a parent, or the student, and the pressure is real. But so is the power of nature to recharge and realign us. I propose as a new path, or at least a renewed commitment, let's remember that the environment we aim to explore, preserve, or transform is also here to nourish us. Dedicating consistent time to outdoor experiences, be it a walk in the park, a hike up a local trail, or even a moment on a quiet balcony, our minds and bodies can recalibrate. This isn't about giving up our ambitions. On the contrary, it's about fueling them responsibly. Nature, it is more than a backdrop, is an active, vital participant in our well-being and creativity. So let's move forward with a collective promise. We'll embrace the outdoors regularly, harnessing the mental clarity and physical revitalization that only fresh air and open skies can provide. In this way, we become better innovators, better friends, and most importantly, healthier versions of ourselves who continue pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Now, as we embark on the heart of this journey, I want to explore the deeper truths about why stepping outside matters so profoundly and how we can make it a sustainable part of our personal and professional lives. Let's look closer at what nature can offer us, how these benefits manifest, and the ways we can seamlessly incorporate them into our routines to become stronger, more inspired, and more resilient as we tackle the challenges of our ever-evolving world. I've discovered several key ideas about our relationship with the outdoors, each of which I believe can guide us toward greater mental and physical well-being. They connect directly to how we perform, how we create, and how we ultimately thrive in our endeavors. Let's dive in and examine them one by one, understanding the full scope of what it means to embrace the open air and rediscover the joys of simply being outside. The first key point resonates with a sense of discovery because I believe before we can fully leverage the power of nature, we must reacquaint ourselves with what we might have lost in the frenetic pace of modern life. Why do we need to reconnect? And how do we take the first steps if stepping away from our screens feels almost impossible? It's time to find out. I've often wondered, does nature hold the answers we're too busy to notice? Let's explore the thought together. If you've ever asked your different self what difference a single afternoon away from the daily grind can make, keep that question in mind as we begin. Here's where it gets interesting. Come across a story of people who found themselves transformed simply by tuning into the rhythms of the outdoors, and it revealed how consistent exposure to natural environments can shift our perspectives in profound ways. Let me share that with you. Afterward, we'll break down the practical ways to incorporate nature into our lives and see the remarkable changes it can spark. This isn't mere theory, it's a tangible roadmap to a more balanced, fulfilling way of being. And I promise the journey is worth every step. Let's explore this in depth. I want to begin with a lens of discovery, a path that often starts with a simple question. What if our next breakthrough isn't in a lab or an office, but under the sun? So let's find out. The outdoors awaits. Let's go there together. You ready? Let's begin. I've always believed that the act of discovery can change everything. Allow me to share what I mean. I remember meeting a group of innovators who chose to hold their brainstorming sessions in the forest. Initially, we were met with skeptical looks from colleagues, but the results were extraordinary. During those walks, they stumbled upon insights that eluded them under fluorescent lights. That's just one example. It aligns with so many stories I've come across. Today, we'll dive deeper into how we can adopt similar practices in our own lives. There's a perspective shift that happens when we immerse ourselves in nature. I'm excited to walk you through its nuances. As we explore this first key point from a discovery angle, consider the question, what exactly have we been missing in our rush for progress? And how can nature help us rediscover it? I suspect the answer lies in stories of real people, a careful look at what happens inside our brains and bodies, and the steps we can take, starting right now, to integrate more natural discovery into our daily routines. Let's continue by analyzing a case study that offers both inspiration and practical lessons. This study sheds light on what it means to break free from our usual constraints and allow nature's expansive influence to guide our creativity, well-being, and sense of possibility. If you've ever questioned whether a simple walk could genuinely unlock a groundbreaking idea, or whether a moment of stillness in the woods could provide a much-needed boost to your mental health, I think you'll find this illuminating. Now imagine you're looking at your schedule for tomorrow, trying to figure out where a break might fit. You might be reluctant to set aside that extra hour because you believe it's better spent pushing through tasks or perfecting a pitch deck. There's a powerful shift that occurs when you realize that time outdoors might actually multiply your productivity later, not reduce it. It's not just about rest or distraction. It's about unlocking a deeper level of mental clarity and resilience that can transform the way you solve problems and approach daily life. In this vein, let's take a closer look at a compelling example of what happens when people step away from their offices and engage in nature-based problem solving. During a study focused on creativity, participants were asked to unplug and spend a few days in a natural setting. The findings were remarkable. Not only did their stress levels drop, but their ability to generate novel solutions increased significantly. The environment itself became an engine for fresh perspectives, fueling ideas that might have remained dormant amid routine environments. That's what brings me to a vital part of the discovery process. It's not enough to read about the benefits of time outdoors. We must actually experience it to let these benefits take root. This leads to an intriguing form of self-analysis. How often do we cling to old patterns? Productivity demands constant screen time, when in fact a break in fresh air could be exactly what our minds need to innovate. Often, we don't realize how rigid our routines have become until we experience a day where stepping outside feels strangely liberating. At this point, many of you might be asking, so how do we incorporate this into our very busy, very modern lives? Perhaps you have urgent tasks, a team relying on you, or a family that keeps your schedule packed. The trick lies in small, consistent shifts, reshaping the assumption that being outside is a luxury or a retreat. Instead, we frame it as a strategic investment in our mental bandwidth, physical well-being, and overall performance. Even a few minutes walking in the sunlight can shift your perspective for the rest of the day. Imagine what a dedicated hour could do. I'd suggest you begin with what I call micro-adventures. Those brief interludes where you step away from your workspace and see a horizon beyond walls and screens. Could be as simple as taking a meal outdoors or finding a local park to stroll through instead of scrolling through social media. The key is to embrace these moments not as escapism, as essential maintenance for your mind and body. Now let me emphasize one crucial point about discovery. Every great feat in human history started with an initial spark. Often that spark emerges when our minds are relaxed, when we're not forcing solutions but allowing them to bubble up from a more spacious mental environment. Nature provides a perfect backdrop for that spaciousness. Go the need to control every variable, instead let curiosity guide us. It's a shift from pushing forward at all costs to letting insights come to us organically. Before I wrap up this exploration discovery, get you down, I want to draw us toward a breakthrough conclusion that underscores the essence of why nature matters. We think of rocket science or AI breakthroughs as purely mechanical or mathematical. The human factor is undeniable. Our capacity to dream, adapt, and persevere relies heavily on being in a state of mental well-being. Nature is a powerful ally in achieving that state, It reminds us of the bigger picture, stirs our curiosity, and reintroduces the sense of wonder we might have forgotten. And that wonder is often the foundation of the most extraordinary innovations. I'm reminded of a statement by the renowned conservationist John Muir, who once said, "In every walk with nature, one receives far more than he seeks." It encapsulates the idea that we go outdoors looking for a small benefit break, a bit of exercise, but we return with immeasurable gifts, perspective, resilience. Think about that the next time you consider stepping away from your desk. The simple choice to spend time outside might offer far more than you anticipated, sparking a ripple effect of creativity and renewal in every corner of your life. Now let's transition to our second key point, where we'll shift to a storytelling perspective. This time, I want to take you through a narrative that highlights the emotional and inspirational power of nature. We've touched on discovery. Now it's time to see how storytelling can illuminate the challenges we face and the lessons we learn through the power of the outdoors. When I think about how nature weaves into our personal and professional stories, I'm often reminded of individuals who overcame daunting obstacles precisely because they reconnected with the wild. Let's dive deeper into that narrative and discover how their journeys can echo in our own, creating a roadmap for transformation. We'll share a story hook, develop the situation, explore challenges and solutions, extract the lessons, and bring it all back to each of you listening. Because in the grand scheme, all of us are writing our own story. Sometimes we just need that spark of inspiration to remind us we are capable of shaping it in the most remarkable ways. Some time ago, a talented software developer who was consumed by the demands of a high-stakes project. Every day was a new crisis, features to debug, deadlines creeping closer, and sleepless nights fueled by energy drinks. He told me that at one point, he went 3 days without seeing the sun, locked in his apartment under the glow of his computer screen. The stress reached a tipping point when he began to experience anxiety attacks and realized he was on the brink of physical and mental collapse. This is where the story hook lies. Someone go from near breakdown to personal triumph. The initial setting is grim, but as in many compelling narratives, adversity can become a catalyst for change. He made a decision that, to his mind, almost radical. Take a week in the mountains with no devices. At first, he was restless. He felt guilty as though he were abandoning his work. He worried about how his team would manage. He began to notice the fresh scent of pine, the taste of crisp air, and the brilliance of the night sky free from city lights. The tension in his body began to melt, replaced by a sense of awe for the world around him. By day, his energy levels rose, and so did his optimism. The second day in the mountains was a revelation. Ideas came flooding in, solutions to long-standing bugs, a new perspective on how to streamline his workflow. Here, he confronted the challenge of wrecking his drive to succeed with his need for mental sanity, and the solution wasn't found in more hours at the keyboard, but in stepping away to replenish himself. The deeper lesson was clear. Often become so entangled in our to-do lists and responsibilities that we forget to nurture our most important resource, our own well-being. Just as a strained muscle can't perform at peak capacity, overtaxed mind can't generate its best work. By immersing himself in nature, the developer broke the cycle of stress and returned to his project not only with fresh ideas, but with a renewed sense of excitement. He learned that maintaining a sustainable pace isn't a sign of weakness, it's an investment in excellence, long-term excellence. Reflecting on his experience, he became an advocate for integrating nature breaks into daily life, rather than letting outdoor adventures remain a rare luxury. He started organizing code and camp sessions where his friends would hack on projects in the morning, then spend afternoons hiking and evenings gazing at the stars. Over time, these gatherings produced some of the group's most innovative software designs. Stress levels stayed stable, team morale soared, and the quality of their output improved dramatically. The story contains lessons that ripple beyond the individual. In this case, the challenges he faced, overwork, burnout, creative stagnation, are familiar to many of us. The solutions he found, stepping outdoors, surrendering to the healing qualities of fresh air, finding balance. The lesson is that nature is not an escape from responsibility, resource that enables us to handle responsibility more effectively. When we become stewards of our own health, we can show up stronger for our teams, our families, and the world at large. In sharing this story with you, I want to highlight that you, too, can become the central character of your narrative, turning adversity into a pivot point that sparks transformation. Maybe you're wrestling with a tough project, a family dilemma, or the weight of global challenges. Nature has a remarkable way of reminding us that we belong to something bigger, and that perspective often dissolves the sense of being trapped or alone. Fresh air can act like fresh data for an overloaded system, enabling a kind of emotional reboot. As for the audience connection, I know we're all at different stages in our journeys. Some of you might be thriving, but still sense a need for more meaningful connections to the world outside your windows. Others might be teetering on the edge of burnout, unsure how to climb back to a healthier life. And some might suddenly be curious about how nature ties into this entire equation. Wherever you stand, I offer you the encouragement that integrating nature isn't about massive lifestyle overhauls, or sudden retreats. It's about small, consistent steps toward balance and vitality. I recall a quote from Florence Williams, a journalist who studied the science of nature's effects on our well-being. She said, "Outside of nature makes people feel more alive." Just think about that for a moment. Feeling more alive might be the most essential requirement for any creator, leader, or dreamer. It's the difference between existing and truly thriving. With a quick reset, a short walk, or an extended trek, we can reconnect to that vital spark. Next, we move to the third key point, which I'll examine through an analysis lens. We've seen the personal journeys and the power of discovery, but let's complement those insights with data-driven evidence. Often, that's how we shift from anecdotal beliefs to actionable strategies. When confronted by the rigors of technology, business, and scaling organizations, I found that statistics and market trends can reinforce the intuitive knowledge that nature is a fundamental pillar for human performance. Let's delve into that side of the equation and see how the numbers back up what we've been discussing so far. Recent studies indicate that employees who have frequent contact with natural elements, such as sunlight, greenery, even just images of nature, show higher job satisfaction and lower stress level those who work in environments devoid of natural cues. Moreover, research has demonstrated that short nature-based breaks can increase attention spans and reduce mental fatigue, which translates directly into better work quality. In a competitive business world, improving cognitive performance even slightly can offer a tangible edge. From a market trends perspective, industries are recognizing the value of nature in workplace design. Biophilic architecture, integrating natural elements like living walls and water features and organic materials, has become increasingly popular. Companies discovered when employees feel more connected to nature, are more engaged and less prone to burnout. It's not just a design fad, it's a calculated move to boost productivity and well-being. This aligns with the broader push towards sustainable operations, highlighting that caring for the environment and care ourselves are interconnected goals, not mutually exclusive ones. When we dive into in-depth research, uncover the physiological effects of spending time outdoors include lowered cortisol levels, reduced inflammation, and improved cardiovascular health. These factors contribute to a holistic sense of well-being that goes beyond mere anecdote. For instance, the practice of forest bathe originated in Japan and is called Shenrin Yoku is being studied extensively. Participants who regularly engage in this practice report diminished stress, enhanced mood, and even stronger immune function. Science consistently points to nature as a crucial ally in maintaining our health. Both mentally and physically, practical applications of these findings are increasingly evident across various sectors. Healthcare providers now prescribe nature walks for patients dealing with anxiety and depression. Tech companies encourage employees to take walking meetings in nearby green spaces. Schools are incorporating outdoor classrooms to enhance student engagement and reduce behavioral issues. Even urban planners are leveraging data that reveals how accessible parks and greenways can improve community well-being. We see a shift in how we build our cities, workplaces, even personal routines based on the recognition that nature is not a luxury but a necessity. In terms of future predictions, I foresee an even deeper integration of natural environments with natural everyday lives. As cities grow and technology advances, we'll find creative ways to blend the convenience of modern living with the timeless benefits of the outdoors. Perhaps we'll see more rooftop gardens, immersive natural simulations, or augmented reality platforms that encourage exploration of local parks. Might also witness a surge in eco-tourism as more individuals realize that their vacation time is a perfect opportunity to compress and recharge in natural settings. The common thread is that reconnecting with nature will become less of afterthought and more of a strategic priority in the quest for happier, healthier societies. We transition now to our fourth key point, approach through an interactive lens. This is where I'd invite you, the audience, to engage in a thought exercise, experiences, and even try some direct practice, albeit in a conversational sense. Since we're not physically together, imagine we're in a large room and I ask each of you to recall a specific time in your life when being outside changed your perspective. Was it a family camping trip, a spontaneous drive to the beach, or simply a moment sitting in your backyard at dusk? Let that memory resurface. How did it make you feel? Did it alter your mood, your outlook, or maybe even the trajectory of your decisions? Discuss this as a group. You'd likely find common threads, rejuvenation, insight, a sense of connection to something larger. Some of you might recall experiences of bonding with friends or family in nature, forging memories that strengthened your relationships. Others might remember forging new ideas, feeling a surge of inspiration to tackle a problem that had seemed insurmountable. A few might even share moments of profound spiritual reflection, discovering clarity about your life's direction or purpose. These shared stories can be powerful, reminding us that while our journeys are unique, The impact of nature is universal in its capacity to reconnect us with fundamental aspects of our humanity. For direct practice, if we were in a workshop, I'd encourage you to step outside. Yes, literally, and spend 10 minutes of surroundings in silence. Listen to the rustle of leaves, the cadence of birds, the texture of the air. Afterward, you'd return and share how you felt. Though we can't do that exercise right this moment, I urge you to consider scheduling a mini outdoor break in your day sometime soon, approaching it as a form of mindful practice rather than a mere stroll. Focus on each breath, each sound, each visual detail. The simple act can recalibrate your nervous system, offering a rest set that fosters greater focus when you return to your tasks. A learning summary from this interactive approach is that we each hold the capacity to use nature as a dynamic tool for transformation. It's not something we passively observe, it's something we actively engage with. Even if you feel stuck in your life or your career, these exercises can shift your mindset and open the door to new possibilities. By sharing experiences, we realize we're not isolated in our struggles or our triumphs. The outdoors becomes a communal ground where insights flourish, collaboration grows, and perspective widens. Before we move on, I want to highlight a short quote by the biologist Edward O. Wilson. Nature holds the key to our aesthetic, intellectual, cognitive, and even spiritual satisfaction. It resonates in this context because it reminds us that what we find outside isn't just beauty. It's a form of nourishment that reaches every layer of our being. When we consciously integrate nature into our routines, we benefit on multiple levels, some of which we might not even realize until we've cultivated consistent outdoor practice. At this stage, come the fifth and final key point, which I'll frame using a problem-solving pattern. We've explored discovery, storytelling, analysis, and interaction. Now, let's identify the core challenge. In a world that demands ever-increasing productivity, how do we ensure we actually follow through on spending time outdoors? The root cause often lies in believing that time away from work equals lost opportunities, or that stepping outside is a luxury we can't afford. We must dismantle that belief by recognizing that nature time is not a detour, but an accelerator. One effective solution is to schedule nature breaks the same way we schedule important meetings. For instance, you might commit to a daily 15-minute walk in a nearby park, a weekend hike, or monthly camping trip. Treat these commitments with the same respect you'd give a crucial conference call. Share this plan with your team or family, explaining why these breaks matter so they understand it's not you avoiding work, it's you optimizing your capacity to do great work. An action plan could involve setting incremental goals. Start with short breaks during the week, then expand to half-day outdoor excursions, eventually building up to more immersive nature experiences. Track your energy levels, mood, productivity before and after these breaks to gather personal data. If you notice improvements, and chances are you will, it becomes you justify consistent time spent outdoors, both to yourself and others who might question your approach. As you move forward, define success metrics that measure not just your professional output, but your overall well-being. For example, you might track whether you feel more creative, whether your stress is more manageable, or whether your relationships at work and home are smoother. Success here is multifaceted, encompassing both tangible results and intangible improvements in your quality of life. If you see that your code is cleaner, your designs are sharper, or your strategic decisions are more decisive after these breaks, you have all the evidence you need to keep going. This approach aligns with the principle that consistent effort, supported by the right environment, yields exponential gains. While implementing this plan, remain aware of potential obstacles, the lure of overwork, the fear of missing out, or the assumption that stepping outside is unproductive. Counter these objections with your own lived experience and the wealth of research at your disposal. Remind yourself that no matter how high-tech our societies become, we remain biological beings who thrive on the rhythms of natural daylight, fresh air, and the textures of the outdoors. The environment shapes us as much as we shape it. By consciously fostering a positive relationship with nature, we not only enhance our personal and professional endeavors, but also cultivate a sense of stewardship for the planet. I'm reminded of a quote from Wangari Maathai, the Nobel Peace Prize laureate who planted millions of trees to benefit local communities and the environment. It's the little things citizens do. That's what will make the difference. Her words encapsulate the idea that each of our small, consistent actions, like taking a walk or planting a garden, can add up to something monumental, personal lives in the broader context of environmental sustainability. We protect what we love, and we can only love what we truly experience. By immersing ourselves in nature, we foster a genuine connection that inspires us to innovate responsibly and safeguard the ecosystems that support us. We've now journeyed through 5 core ideas, each approached from a unique angle, all converging on the transformative power of nature in our lives, from the initial spark of discovery to humanizing stories that illustrate nature's impact. From the hard data that validates our intuitive sense of well-being to the interactive exercises and the problem-solving framework, we've seen how holistic this topic really is. The outdoors isn't just a backdrop. It's an active ingredient in our pursuit of mental clarity, physical health, and creative excellence. In the grand arc of a hero's journey, stepping into nature often serves as both a sanctuary and a catalyst, a place to regroup and reimagine the path ahead. Now it's time to integrate these insights into a final, forward-looking vision, ensuring we keep our commitment to seeing nature as an indispensable partner in our ongoing adventure. Let me paint a picture of what the future could look like if we fully embrace our relationship with nature. Imagine workplaces that actively promote outdoor time, offering flexible schedules that encourage employees to step outside, reflect, and collaborate in natural settings. Picture homes designed with green spaces at their core. Families grow vegetables together, learn about local ecosystems, and make conservation part of daily life. Envision cities that weave parks, rivers, and community gardens through every neighborhood, so no one is ever far from a refreshing escape. Whether we explore new frontiers in space or harness AI to solve pressing challenges here on Earth, our innovations will be enriched by our ongoing dialogue with the natural world. It won't be an afterthought. It will be integrated into the very fabric of our designs, our processes, and our aspirations. Of course, this vision doesn't come without challenges. At a time when technology continues to accelerate, urban environments expand, and social pressures multiply, it's all too easy to get pulled into the vortex of nonstop activity. Let's transform that challenge into a rallying cry. If we can learn to marry ecology, edge technology with deep respect for the planet, we stand to gain the best of both worlds. We can remain productive, inventive, globally connected while never losing the grounding presence of a clear sky and open air. This balance is not only possible, it's becoming increasingly vital. If we fail to nurture our bond with nature, burning out our finest minds, compromising our health, and undermining the planet's capacity to sustain our ambitions. If we succeed, we create a legacy that inspires future generations to dream even bigger, also to care more deeply. In that spirit, I ask you to consider what concrete steps you can take to support this vision. Could you advocate for more green spaces in your local community? Could you organize outdoor meetups with your colleagues or friends? Could you integrate nature-focused activities into your weekend routines, making them a cornerstone of how you rest and recharge? The possibilities are extensive. All require a shift from passive acknowledgement to active participation. By making a personal commitment to stepping outside more often, you become part of a collective momentum that reshapes our culture's priorities. That's where I and countless others want to offer our support. Through forums, discussions, and shared knowledge, we can help each other identify the best practices to embed nature in our busy lives. It's an online group sharing hiking tips, a local gathering to clean up a nearby river, or a corporate initiative to create outdoor break areas. Every contribution matters. Each of us has a role to play in normalizing the idea that spending time outdoors isn't a hobby for a select few, but a universal need for anyone who strives to be healthy, productive, and creatively fulfilled. As someone who's devoted much of my life to chasing futuristic ideas, rockets, neural interfaces, solar energy, assure you that nature remains one of our most profound technologies. It's the original system that gave rise to everything we know. Its lessons are inexhaustible. We only take the time to listen. Which brings me to one final challenge for you. Carve out a recurring appointment for yourself in nature. It might be small at first, but make it non-negotiable. Treat it with the same seriousness as any professional deadline. Observe how it affects your thinking, your relationships, your sense of purpose, track your progress, track your progress, small wins, and share the journey with those around you. By doing so, you become a beacon of possibility for others who might be on the fence. If stepping outside more often is truly worth the effort, your example might be all they need to realize that they, too, can find balance and inspiration in the world beyond their immediate routines. I promise that I and many others stand behind you in this endeavor. We'll offer stories, data, frameworks, and encouragement as you explore your relationship with the outdoors. We'll celebrate your successes and learn from the inevitable stumbles along the way. There's no pressure to do everything at once. Incremental changes still change. And over time, those increments can lead to profound, lasting transformation in your personal and your professional life. Collectively, we can champion a more sustainable, nurturing approach to success, one that honors the environment while harnessing gifts for our collective progress. In closing, let me leave you with a final thought. We do extraordinary things when we feel a sense of wonder. Nature can spark that wonder better than almost anything else. A simple sunrise can remind us that each day is a fresh start. A walk in the woods can reawaken a childlike curiosity in even the most world-weary adult. A glimpse of a vast landscape or a star-filled sky can shrink our egos and expand our empathy, allowing us to see that we're part of something greater than ourselves. This sense of wonder is a renewable resource. Every day, every season, it's there if we choose to seek it out. So go outside, breathe in the air, and dare to wonder what brilliance might arise when you allow your mind and body to sync with the natural rhythms of the earth. Ground you and let it heal you. Does the best inspire you? Because the best ideas, the most resilient minds, and the brightest futures often with a single, humble moment beneath an open sky. That be your guiding light as you continue to innovate, create, and shape the world we share. And as you do, remember that this world is not just a stage for our endeavors, it's an active partner in our success. Together, embrace it with gratitude, protect it with vigilance, and learn from it in all the ways that matter most for our collective growth and well-being. Thank you. I look forward to seeing where your journey outside will take you next.